Hello and welcome to the Beer Pad. We have an interesting show for you today, mainly because Marcus is a little possibly drugged up right now.
I'm fine. I recovered. I slept it off.
Damn. So Marcus told the people why there was a chance you might be feeling woozy today.
Well, I was supposed to have an MRI on my prostate today, which is something I told people do, especially when you got the cancer. And they basically wanted to take a look at it, bloody blue. The problem is the MRI tube is this tiny circular tube that they put your body in. And it's not a quick in, boom, out. It's not like a Polaroid. It's an hour long with contrast being pumped into your arm via IV drip. Now, I'm kind of have an issue with enclosed spaces, and it started when I had my heart attack 6 years ago, and I was down for a couple of minutes, and then in a coma for a week. And this is quite common, apparently. People come out of traumatic brain experiences with things being slightly different. Okay. And, I didn't come out with superpowers. I came out with claustrophobia, which fucking sucks, to be honest with you.
So it wasn't an issue at all before?
Claustrophobia? No, it wasn't an issue at all before.
Okay.
Now claustrophobic. I mean, I could never be Bruce Willis and Die Hard crawling through the vents. Yeah. There'd be no come to the ghost, we'll have some laughs. None of that from me, I'm afraid. And so, went in 2 weeks ago, and I was under the impression, because this was on my doctor's notes, that it wouldn't be one of these small narrow tubes. I walked in and said, "So this is the thing," and I'd be like, "Oh fucking no," because I looked at it and it was shrinking. It was shrinking as I looked at it, and I was like, "You're not getting in there." So, okay, we'll get you rescheduled and we'll get you some medication, which they did. Today was the rescheduled day, and they give me 4 lorazepam.
Wow.
Lorazepam, quite a powerful sedative.
Yeah, 4. Wow.
Did it work?
Really?
This body is not in the mood to take that shit. I have this constitution that, and I think it's through years of being a PR guy and doing events, hosting events and drinking a fair amount, that I can work my ass off at an event, drink probably the equivalent of a bottle of vodka, and not feel it. I mean, literally not get drunk. And it's the same way if I'm remotely stressed out. So with the other thing. So, I ended up coming home, sleeping. I had a great little nap for about 4 hours. But I'm awake now, which is good. But I still have to go through this. But we're looking to move it to a different thing and actually have it more of a scan as opposed to an MRI. All the things that they should have done the first time around. I mean, I love my healthcare team, but they really need to fucking talk to each other.
Yeah,
this is it's twice now we've wasted all this time going over the west side, because you know what it's like to drive from where I live over to the west side of LA. It's not fun. And we've done it there and back twice now. And I'm beginning to get a little pissed, shall we say. So words will be had next week. But, I'm here. I am here.
And I'm glad you're here, because today we're going to talk about Good Omens.
Yeah.
Now, this is the second series on Amazon Prime, and it is based on a book from 1990 written by legends Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman. And I love this book. I read it a long time ago, but I love how this book was written. They were both living in England at the time, but not really close to each other. This is pre-internet days. So for collaboration, they would mail each other floppy disks. Terry would keep the master copy on his computer. Neil was still busy with Sandman. And at this point in their careers, Terry could write his own schedule. So I love that they were literally mailing floppy disks to each other. And two masters of their craft coming together to write a really wondrous book. Do you have experience with the book, or was the first season your first experience with Good Omens?
The TV show was the first experience, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah,
So much so, I actually, after finishing Good Omens 2, I've gone back and I'm literally on the last two episodes of Good Omens 1,
yeah,
just to get things that I may have missed. And there's a lot of stuff that comes to mind in comparison of the two. There's a lot of similarities, a lot of casting across the two that are
yes.
actually surprising. I mean, it's I don't know if they have their favorite actors that they want to put into this, but yeah, there's something to talk about because it's kind of strange in a lot of ways.
I will ask you about that later because for some people I can see how it could work, and for some people I'm like, wait, what? Why is this happening? Kind of deal. So the first series was largely based on the book. There were some changes made. The biggest one was that Gabriel was included, played by John Hamm, not Tom Ham. That would have been a very, very different character. And so Gabriel was not in the book, but he was always in the plans for a sequel, which they never got around to because Terry Pratchett died. And obviously he wasn't around to write the second series with Neil. So they had some broad plot lines planned, but this is largely Neil taking it in a new direction. So I did not know what to expect from the second series.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. So I am getting the feeling that you did not like it as much as the first.
Let's just say that I thought it was mediocre Omens,
Oh,
and I've got a list of reasons why, and that's why I went back and watched season one.
sure.
Season one, I thoroughly enjoyed. I thought the chemistry, obviously, between David Tennant and Michael Sheen is hysterical. You
Absolutely.
have the supporting cast who are all brilliant character actors and do what they do, from the voice of God down.
Yeah.
And I feel that Good Omens 2 loses a lot of that.
Right. So I like how David Tennant and Michael Sheen, they kind of mirror Terry and Neil in that those guys are two phenomenal actors on their own, but when they're together, I thought they just rocked the first series, and even I enjoyed their chemistry in the second series as well. But let's go. What did you like about the first series that you did not get from the second?
Well, look, I think it was the first time we were seeing the first time we really got to see them together, and everybody wanted to see them. I mean, it was Doctor Who and the voice of the TARDIS for a while. It was, not necessarily the voice of the TARDIS, but a Doctor Who villain who stole the TARDIS. So there's a lot of that in there. They're two very, very beloved British actors. They have this inherent charisma, much like you and I, to be honest with you.
I really think it fits into our personalities. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, it just clicked. I mean, you had Michael Sheen. It did play somewhat with type. Michael Sheen perhaps playing the more portly, bumptious good guy, and then you had David Tennant channeling this hybrid Jim Morrison and Mick Jagger kind of character. I mean, he was obviously the snake in Eden, and he kept that
Right.
physicality as he would just sort of like slither across the floor, not get on, lay on the floor and slither, but he just glided when he walks. So yeah, I mean, it just had everything, and it had the right amount of Neil Gaiman. It had the right amount of Terry Pratchett. So it was just generally enjoyable. They had a really good supporting cast,
Yeah.
and they had a really good way of tackling the end of the world. With starting off with a baby switcheroo, and ending up with Satan's child growing up in some little humdrum hamlet in the middle of England called Little Titwank or something like that. So yeah, I really enjoyed the first one. I've enjoyed it more on the second watch through, to be honest with you, because it had a lot of great little things, and that's why I like the first one.
Yeah, I mean, the whole draw to me is the two actors' chemistry, and as I said before, individually, they're brilliant on their own, but they're really magical together. And I just love the contrast between them. And it meshes with the contrast of the writing styles as well. And I like how they looked at things that were kind of ordinary or mundane and tried to explain them. I mean, one of the big questions in the first series was, is this God's infallible plan, or are there mistakes, and taking the look at things in series 2, where, okay, spoiler territory, it's past 10 minutes, we can do that. Why did God mess with Job so much? Things like that. What was he trying to prove? And then it turns out it was like this little side bet amongst heaven and hell. So that, I think that was a entertaining way to look at it. I don't know how religious people that are literal Bible believers would feel about that, but I thought it was clever. And for me, series 2 is really just a love story. You have all these couples. Obviously, the two people that were nuns in the first series come back as shopkeepers in the second. You have Gabriel and Beelzebub, and of course, you have Aziraphale and Crowley. So to me, this was a rom-com series at its heart. Not what I expected, but I enjoyed that. What were you expecting?
I was expecting more of the same with regards to the chemistry between the two lead players, but I was expecting it not to be so kitchen sink kind of drama all set within this one street. It felt very narrow to me. It felt very restrained. One of the high points for me in the first season, and again, but not to a lesser extent in the second, is the flashbacks. When you see Crowley and you see Aziraphale interacting through time. And I didn't think we got enough of that in season 2. I also don't think that the main plot device that, Gabriel's missing. And we know, everybody knows where Gabriel is because he's in with Aziraphale, having turned up naked on his doorstep. But nobody recognized Gabriel for some reason. Really bizarre. Must be
because they performed a miracle.
They obviously did something. But it didn't feel like there was any urgency to it. It's like, now we know that the end of the world is going to happen in this X amount of days, blah, 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 blah. But it didn't feel very... there was no urgency. And I don't think Gabriel is a strong character. And I know I will piss off a lot of Mad Men fans. I don't think John Hamm's the right character for Gabriel. He's very good-looking guy. He's an okay actor. He's not a superb actor. He's not certainly in the class of Sheen and Tennant.
Oh, of course not.
And then you look at the rest of the supporting cast that they've got here, like Derek Jacobi, Miranda Richardson, etc., etc. He is not a really, really good actor. He was great in Mad Men. That was his thing. He was great in the Fletch reboot, the third Fletch movie, because again, it was very similar to his Mad Men character, but he's one of the actors who's famous for being John Hamm more than he's famous for being an actor. And I felt he was just a non-entity. He was a plot hole that sucked things in around him, and just weakest point of the show for me. Didn't bring any sense of threat whatsoever, whereas in the first one we had the child of the Antichrist and this baby mix-up, and things starting to come to a head, and this whole denouement at the Green, I think it's Greenham Common nuclear missile base. But there was none of that. I mean, the only good stuff that was interesting was the end couple of episodes. The battle of the bookshop was quite fun.
Yeah, I enjoyed that as well.
Yeah. I felt that the love story between Gabriel and Beelzebub just felt ridiculous. And actually, it felt like a rip-off from the last but one season of Lucifer, the TV show that Neil Gaiman also had a little poem where God and his ex-wife go off to another dimension. And it just felt really this is what it's all been all about. Everybody wants Gabriel for the reason that he might have fallen in love with Beelzebub. And it's like the message of the show is, oh, love conquers all. Love is this. People will do things for love. Isn't that wonderful? But you just get hit over the head with it so many times. I don't really want to hear that. I mean, have it once, great, but I didn't. We had the long and interminable will they, won't they, with the two shopkeepers who were obviously both nuns in the first show. Will they, won't they? One's in an abusive relationship, the other one's lonely, and then they did. Okay, great, they'll be happy, wonderful. But then you had this thing on top of it with Gabriel. And then honestly, you had the final bit of it with Michael Sheen and David Tennant. And it felt so superfluous. And it really didn't. That didn't need to happen. That was fan wankery. I'm sorry. That was for the hardcore, very vocal fans on Twitter who spend all their time drawing pictures of David Tennant and Michael Sheen shagging away and making out. And it just obviously rubbed off on Neil Gaiman, because there was no need for them to, for Crowley to kiss Aziraphale. Well, they could have just been really, really good mates. They could have just been, you can have soulmates who are best mates. You don't have to bring love into everything. This is one of the problems we've had with Doctor Who, where it's like, oh, he's in love with his companion, or his companion's in love with him, and it just drags the show down. And it's like any police procedural, Lucifer, Bones, House, whatever you want to watch. Right. Oh, look, he's fallen in love with somebody he should be butting heads with. No, there's so many adventures that we could actually have from these guys that basically show their begrudging respect, and the fact that they would actually die for each other because that's what best friends do, without having to go with the whole my horns or your halo. What do you want to do? And that, so to me, that was just the right. But
let's go over some of your points. I agree very much that this didn't have the sense of urgency that the first one did. It didn't feel like the world was going to end, even though that's what was at stake.
Didn't even say why.
Right.
Just that Gabriel would be caught, and then there'd be a war, and the war would be on Earth. Why?
I disagree on John Hamm. I actually like him as a bumbling goof. I don't like him. I didn't like him as much in Mad Men as his smaller roles. I thought he was fantastic in Curb Your Enthusiasm. I know you're not a fan of that show, but he played a bumbling, goofy version of himself, which was similar to the character that he played in Good Omens too. The love stuff, I mean, the debate on that goes back way before Twitter. Like even in the infancy of the internet, I remember people on message boards arguing about, are they friends or are they a couple? And, there was fan fiction on this like a long time ago, because people remember this book's from 1990. So these characters have been on nerd minds for a really long time. And did they need to kiss? I would have liked it better if it was left up to the viewer to decide what their relationship was,
Thank you.
personally. It didn't bother me that they did, but
It just, it doesn't bother me as such, but it just feels like, do we have to on top of everything else? It would have been nice just to let it be ambiguous, and if this is the end of Good Omens, fine. Let everybody draw
right,
their own conclusions. But it just felt that love found a way, and love found a way, and then love kind of found a way, and it's a cliffhanger, and it literally feels like it had been Fox networked to the nth degree. That's what
right,
it felt like. It felt like it became a shitty procedural on Fox that's about to get cancelled, leaving on a cliffhanger.
right. And the things you brought up, like Lucifer, the one that I brought up came to my mind was Preacher, which is the fallout between an angel and a demon falling in love. And this is as old as those things. It's just the TV show came a lot later than the original text. I do have to wonder, because Terry Pratchett wasn't involved with this series for obvious reasons of not being alive, that how different this would have been if he were a collaborator. Because the original, from what I remember, he wrote about 2/3 of it, and Neil wrote 1/3, just simply because Neil had less time because of Sandman. Now, how different would it have been? Probably very different. I mean, just
I
because.
think it would have flowed quicker and been a lot snappier.
Hmm.
I think the fact that we are missing the narrator so much, the
Right.
voice of God flits in and out and is chronically underused, because everybody knows who the voice of God is, and she is absolutely fantastic as the voice of God. And that's Frances McDormand, and she's only in it for a couple of she has a couple of lines, maybe in a couple of episodes.
Yeah.
And that's a waste, because that would have been quite interesting, because she's our storyteller, she's our narrator, and I think that's where perhaps Pratchett is best to was best at bringing in the dialogue and punching it up in the book.
That's fair. Yeah.
And I think and don't get me wrong, I love Neil Gaiman, but I think he was the showrunner on this.
Yes, I think you're
And
correct.
he wasn't the showrunner on the first one.
Yes.
And I think it shows that he is a wonderful and gifted writer, but a showrunner he might not be. I mean, I'll tell you why. I mean, first of all, the triple romance Snuggapalooza felt a bit much. And then you see the reusing of the cast.
Yeah. Now, so as you mentioned, two of the nuns from the first series became shopkeepers in the second one with no memory of their past lives. Did you like that they were played by the same actors from the first one, or did you want different people? Or it seems like you didn't like that storyline in general with those guys.
No, I got no problem with the storyline.
Okay.
I've got no problem with the storyline. I actually felt the way they built up that it would be an integral part of the storyline, and I was all for it. I was like, okay, this is going to be cool, but it went nowhere. It really did go nowhere. It kind of sorted itself out when the abusive spouse buggered off, leaving the two women alone. I mean, so it came to a natural end. And they ended up together and had that little battle against the demons, and I thought that was great. The two actresses happened to be baller actresses, especially Nina Sosanya. Nina Sosanya has been in so many good things.
Love Actually.
I mean, and she looks the same as she did in Love Actually
She
2021.
really does. It's
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what her
remarkable.
secret is. Maybe it's Maybelline. Who knows? But she was absolutely brilliant, and always makes things better. But it just felt a little confusing to see these two actresses change around again.
Yeah.
And if you look at you look at some of the characters that are that pop up again. I mean, Miranda Richardson went from the spicy landlady who offers executive stress relief to being Crowley's replacement.
Right.
Now, is that intentional? Were they just giving Miranda Richardson another job because she's a fantastic actress? If so, she was kind of underused in this one, because I really would have liked to see her get her teeth into this particular role. Again, she's another British screen legend.
Right.
But it would have been nice to perhaps see it, if it was the same character, see her transition from this lady who does the executive, stress relief, and becomes, and then ends up being an agent for the down below people.
Right.
So, and then we had, excuse me. Sorry about that. We have Reese.
Can I give you a Ricola? No.
Ricola.
Take a sip, my friend.
I'm sipping my fizzy water. Let's talk about the one that's perhaps the most glaring.
Oh wait, a question for you though. That relationship, did you feel it had heat, or did it have a spark? Because to me, that was the one out of the three relationships. I thought theirs was the most. They didn't really have that lovey-dovey moment on screen anyway.
You start to see it at the end, and I think that's where you start to see it, and that's where it works. It shows that one's in a bad place and the other one doesn't want to be the rebound person. And I think they evolved it through the episodes, and I thought it worked fine. That one, absolutely no problem at all. 100%, 2 thumbs up. The Beelzebub Gabriel one, my problem is that between the Beelzebub Gabriel one and the Aziraphale Crowley one, they're both identical. It's just one's a straight couple and one's a not you would label heteronormative,
right?
Which does that even count with angels? Who
knows? I don't
angels
think
and demons.
Our definitions of gender apply to ethereal beings.
Are they all smooth like Ken? Who knows?
Yeah.
But my point is that they felt so similar that the reveal of Gabriel and his feelings for Beelzebub and their eventual pissing off to Alpha Centauri, that felt okay. All right, that's what's going to happen. He's got his memory back. All right, boom. What's next?
Right.
And then you see it just goes down this standard American TV trope.
And to be fair, I think I might have liked that relationship more than most people, because my dad was a big Buddy Holly fan, and every day just reminds me of him.
It's a great song, and the great stuff that came along in the scenes with it were absolutely fine. It would have been nice to perhaps see more of those two.
I would have liked to. Yeah.
Because it just felt that you were repeating the Crowley Aziraphale story, but with two different people. And then you got one who's got amnesia, or he's put his memories into a fly in
a matchbox. Yeah.
And then we got that very, very quick wrap up, and God appeared, and you got the 3 other angels who are all naughty, naughty, very naughty. And Aziraphale is up for promotion, and will he go up in the elevator? And Crowley tells him no and gives him a kiss, and that to me felt like a very American ending. I think Neil Gaiman's been spending too much time in this fucking country. He's been watching too much Fox television.
Oh wow! Question for you. One of my favorite of the supporting characters was Muriel, the angel that was that had no clue about the ways of Earth and humans. Like when she was as dressed as a cop, she's like, I am
the whitest police cop
yeah,
police officer you'll ever know.
I am a human police officer. You will obey
Yeah.
me. I thought she was adorable. I like that naive character.
No, she was great. And again, just have some of these characters who are just missing.
Yeah.
Missing their big story.
So am I getting it from you that the sense I'm getting from you is that this series had all the ingredients, it just wasn't cooked together correctly? Would that be a good way to put it?
It had a lot of it had a lot going for it. It really did have a lot going for it, but I just think it missed out on so much.
That's fair.
It felt incomplete. It felt rushed. There was no. I mean, obviously, we had so much time and a book to base the original on. That this one felt that it didn't have any soul. What would have been soul was taken and replaced by some very generic American TV climaxing, in my opinion. And to do that and to have such a great, and have it disappoint despite the phenomenal cast is very upsetting. But what you're gonna do,
right?
I will want to. I just want to give one other shout out. There was there was a comedy troupe in the UK in the late 90s, early 2000s, and in fact, some of them still work together today. They were called the League of Gentlemen.
Okay, yeah.
Mark Gatiss. Let's see, Reese Shearsmith, and what's his last name? Oh, come on, where is he? Pemberton, Steve Pemberton. All right, so they had this TV show in the UK, League of Gentlemen. You can watch it on BritBox. It's an excellent, subversive, bizarre show based around this fictional town of Royston Vasey. It's dark, it's offensive, it has some incredibly naughty stories. The characters are all brilliant. They're all played pretty much by the same three folks, and obviously they got reunited in this in some way, shape, or form. In the first season, Reese Shearsmith played Shakespeare at the Globe, while Aziraphale and Crowley were standing around critiquing Hamlet. And then in the second series, Reese was a underground minion who interacted with the three Nazi collaborators from the first season who were blown up in the church.
Right.
Two of whom were Steve Pemberton and Mark Gatiss. Now, Mark Gatiss you would recognize from Sherlock, co-creator, and played Milo Rilak? What's Sherlock's older brother?
Moriarty?
No, it wasn't. Moriarty's the bad guy. It's something beginning with MY. Anyway, and so to see those three guys, they actually got on screen together in season 2. Was they're dead and they're about to get sent. 2 of them are sent back up as zombie Nazi brain eaters.
Right.
Thought was funny, totally superfluous. Didn't really need it at all, but it was there as a little giggle. But I think this is a microcosm of what's wrong with the whole season. Missed opportunities. Mycroft Holmes. Oh, thank God for that. My brain is totally spasming. And it just goes to show that there are so many good things in here, but they just seem to be wasted. There's no real vastness about it. It's all based around the street and the bookshop. Yes, they fuck off to Edinburgh so that David Tennant can do his, oh, look, this is my normal accent team is Scottish, don't you know? So what, it could have been so much more. I don't know if the pandemic fucked with it. I don't know if Amazon cut budgets.
Yeah, I don't know what their production schedule is like for during the pandemic, but that must have disrupted
it felt
plans.
Smaller, but not in a good way.
I agree with that. It felt
like
smaller.
Gabriel's imminent, outing demise didn't feel like a major world-ending thing.
I agree with that. But what I did enjoy, and you complained, or you said you didn't like this part as much, was that I'd liked all the stacked love stories. And because to me, this is a rom-com and they looked at different aspects of relationships and love.
That's because you're a big old softie.
I am.
Heartless.
I am. But even in that Edinburgh episode, when they're in like the 19th century, and you had the one girl, Elspeth, that was robbing graves to get medicine for her girlfriend, Wee Morag.
Yeah.
And, she was willing to do all this for her love, but as soon as her love dies, totally willing to sell her corpse out. So like that view of love was interesting. One of my favorite scenes was before the Nazis got blown up, where Aziraphale was concerned about his books, but Crowley apparently did a little miracle to save the satchel that his books were in, and
which he did. That actually was in season 1,
right? And just seeing how touched she was by that gesture, and Crowley was being like, "Shut it," trying to be this, because it really was. He knew how important that was to Aziraphale, and it was a lovely gesture. Whether or not you think it's romantic, it should have been romantic, or whether that's something a great friend does, that's up to you. But I loved the cuteness of that scene, and I am a softie for these kind of things.
Look, I thought those scenes were great, and it just showed to me the strengthening of the bond between them. I just didn't need that triple layer of declared unrequited love or whatever, because we'd had unrequited love from the first couple, the traders, and then we had Gabriel giving up everything because he had feelings for Beelzebub,
right?
And then to see it literally do the same thing again with Crowley and Aziraphale, it just felt like overkill. It's like, I've got a big hammer. This big hammer says love on it. Do you feel it yet? One more time. What's this show about? Love? Yeah.
How did you feel about the ending? And what do you think it means for season 3?
I don't know. I don't care.
Wow, they lost you.
I know it's not that they've lost me. I just feel totally ambivalent towards it. In that I am now terrified that any season 3 will come along and it will be set in Los Angeles. They're two buddy angels with a love that won't speak his name, and they're going to stop World War III. And it's coming to us, next year on the WB. Wow. And it just goes to show how far Good Omens fell for me in this.
Yeah. Well, would you make a point to watch it, or will you get to it when you get to it?
Oh, look, when it comes out, I'm a completionist. I will watch it. I don't even know if season 3 has been confirmed.
I think it was, but now with the strikes, so many things have been canceled that I haven't been keeping up with news.
Yeah, they could have left this one ambiguous, and then we could have had, if you wanted to have the big reveal that they were going to be a couple who lives happily ever after at the end of season 3, oh hallelujah, that would have worked. But as because of love upon love was just, it felt a little overburdened.
Fair enough. Do you want to get to our scores before we get to some comments?
Yeah, let's get to our scores.
On a scale of 5 halos using halves, how many halos do you give this Good Omens to, Marcus?
It was mediocre Omens, 2.5 halos.
Oh, I will go 4 halos for me, and just because I love rom-coms. I do.
I love rom-coms too. I love rom-coms too, but this didn't feel to me like it was the rom-com should have been the front and center.
Right, but I think you like,
but down our throat over and over and over.
You like good rom-coms. Like I will watch shitty rom-coms. Like there's this one, I think it's like Delmar Productions or something, that they make like straight to Netflix rom-coms that are not good movies at all. But I will watch.
Look, don't say I don't like bad rom-coms. I have bought tickets to see Freddie Prinze Jr. rom-coms in the 90s and 2000s.
Well, was that for girls though, or for you?
Well, that was on dates, but yes. Okay. But I mean, I've been known to watch Freddie Prinze rom-coms. Freddie Prinze Jr.
He gets the ladies going,
and obviously the sucker for some of the Hugh Grant stuff. But I just feel that if you're signing into Good Omens,
you're not expecting a rom-com,
not a full triple decker rom-com as the climax to the season.
Okay,
I don't know. Maybe I'm too cynical to enjoy the whole love conquers all, but I thought it basically showed love conquers fuck all. To be honest with you, because two people went off on the couple of street traders, they went off, and that's great. Good, boom. The humans are happy. The two angels, an angel and the demon, went off to Alpha Centauri. Boom, they're off being happy. I didn't need another layer of love on there. I would have felt that it would have been more gut wrenching and give me more interest in the sequel,
right,
or in the part 3, if it's like we've done all this stuff together, we really work together as a team. What do you want to do now? Oh, I'm fucking off upstairs. I can turn you into an angel if you want.
All right. So you did not need a love trifle. Is that what the dessert's called?
Yeah. I mean, there was no third scoop of creamy love for me.
Third scoop of creamy love.
And look, and let me just say, first and foremost, that could have been man on man kissing, man on woman.
Oh yeah.
I don't have a quibble at all about the perceived gender of any of the characters, because at the end of the day, they are angels. But and so we're dealing with fictional stuff anyway.
Yeah.
But I just felt it could have been something better, and the disappointment for me, and props, it might have worked better if we didn't have the fucking Gabriel problem. If Gabriel's missing had actually created some sort of tension and some sort of threat that was hanging over everybody, but there was none at all. It's basically again, what's his name, John Hamm, wandering around. Oh, look at me, I'm carrying a box over my dick, and you can see my bum. I'm John Hamm, and hello, my name's Gabriel. No, it's not, it's Jim. It's James, but people call me Gabriel. Now, there's a character they could have fucking recast. They really could have recast him if they wanted to play that in more of a comedy way. But there should have been some more tension. There should have been a bit more feeling, a bit more suspense, a bit more on the line for that final thing.
I got you.
Especially as you've got 3 Archangel there who are being douchebags and had engineered Gabriel's exit.
Right.
So why weren't they getting their asses kicked, or one of them being really, really, like ripped to shreds? Why wasn't God actually the Metatron in this case, and Derek Jacobi? Why wasn't Derek Jacobi as the voice of God?
Right.
Doing something about it? But no, he's turned up, he's bought his cup of coffee, and now he's promoting Aziraphale.
Coffee or Death. Great name for a shop, by the way.
Yeah, I prefer Cake or Death.
Cake or Death. Especially the way Eddie Izzard says it.
Well, it's from the nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition.
Yes.
So it's like cake or death, Raymond. Cake or death.
Cake, please.
We're all out of cake. Death it is,
So my choices are or death.
basically.
So we have a bunch of comments from Zen Bumblebee mostly, or actually all of them. But if you have any comments, please leave them or leave them after the show and we will get back to you. But he said he or she, they, sorry, I'm really bad with pronouns. I'm learning. Zen Bumblebee says they are a gay couple in the original book. And also, part 2 is a setup for part 3. It feels strange, but will make sense if you know what's in store for final parts. Oh, maybe so.
Okay, that may be the case. Doesn't stop it. I mean, for me, generally, the middle section of a trilogy is the most key because it's the one that really carries it.
Right.
You look at
Empire. Yeah.
You look at even Temple of Doom,
Rocky
um,
2.
Rocky 2. But I mean, there's a lot going on in that middle section because you've got. I look at it as a sandwich, and part 1 is the bread, nicely buttered, not too much, gets you interested, accentuates what's coming in the middle, the filling, the
That's
stuff
weird.
that leaves you on tenterhooks, and then you finish off with the buttery bread again. But this time, that buttery bread has got this amazing tangy or sweet aftertaste, the residue, if you will, of part 2 to really carry it through to sandwich bliss. And I don't think that had that. This was basically one floppy bit of lettuce and maybe some mayonnaise that was 3 weeks out of date.
Or a greasy chip, Sanny.
It wasn't even a greasy chip sandwich. I mean, a greasy chip butty can always be rescued because you can drop in the HP sauce.
Yes.
It's a very weak entry in if this is a trilogy, and if we do get it, I would love to see more of Aziraphale and Crowley and their travels and their arguments and expand on some of those. Less of the Heavenly Hosts, unless the Heavenly Hosts are getting their asses handed to them in a spectacular battle at the end, simply because they're as evil as the people in hell. So that's obviously going to be interesting. You know who I'd like to see in this show?
Who's that?
Tom Ellis.
Well,
The real
Yeah.
Lucifer Morningstar, the OG. And I know I laugh about and poke fun at the Fox procedurals, but Tom Ellis as the devil himself,
so good
coming into this. We've had him pop up in cameos in, I think, Legends of Tomorrow. We know he wasn't Lucifer in The Sandman, but
right.
This one, I think in this one he'd be great. He'd be great just to have.
He'd be great to have around in anything, really. I mean, he's that charming and that good.
For Tom Ellis.
Yeah.
Let's have more Welsh representation. A Welsh devil and a
Welsh angel. Love it.
Yeah, angel. Yeah.
And a Welsh Tony Blair. So fantastic as Tony Blair. And what he did 3 of those movies where he played Tony Blair?
He did Frost versus Nixon. And
the special relationship.
But Frost versus Nixon, he was David Frost. Then he was Tony Blair and the Queen, and then he was the special relationship. So he's done. Michael is incredible at taking on characters that have existed and bring them back to life. He's done it with a few British characters, including Brian Clough, the legendary soccer manager. He's obviously done Tony Blair twice. He's done David Frost. I mean, we all knew from day one that Michael was the shining talent in the room back in the day.
He was Tony Blair in The Deal as well.
Okay. but he was also he's also played Chris Tarrant in the who's a TV quiz show host in the show Quiz Show, I think it was called, and it was about a corrupt a cheating scandal that took out the show. Was it Who Wants to Be a Millionaire or something? Michael's incredibly talented. He was in Fallen Son, which was on Fox and got cancelled after 2 seasons. Prodigal Son, and he played a serial killer, and he was great in that. I would just like to see a little more of the stuff before they reunite. Before they're reunited, just give them their happy ending. Absolutely fine if that's what they want to have, and that's the way they want to go. Boom. Let's just not do
right.
Good Omens 3, with the Love Fest spectacular. I mean, otherwise just put it on the fucking Love Boat.
Yeah, fair enough. Now, here's one comment I'm curious to see what your reaction to. Zen Bumblebee wrote, I think you're missing the nuance in the writing. And are you though? I just don't think it appealed to you. And I don't think that's missing nuance.
I don't think there's that much nuance in the writing. I'm a relatively intelligent chap, somewhat widely read. I have been known to understand big movies and big books and stuff like that.
I don't necessarily agree with this. I just think it wasn't in your wheelhouse.
Yeah, I haven't read the book, and maybe I need to go and read the book to perhaps understand it. But we are not judging the book; we're judging the TV series.
Yeah.
So anything that may come because of the book, or anything that was in the book but isn't in the TV series, is moot. It is not happening
because these are adapted.
It's like talking about the Game of Thrones series and comparing it to George R.R. Martin's work. And you cannot do that. Or looking at the Harry Potter movies and comparing them to Joe Rowling's writings. There is so much that gets stripped away to put it up on the big screen, or in this case, the little screen. So I don't think there was any nuance to really miss. I think it may, maybe I did miss some things here and there. I mean, just from trying to stay away.
We all do. We have a follow-up. Without giving anything away, I will say, remember the car is sentient and has its own mind. Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, that's and $4 will get me a fucking coffee at Starbucks, and I appreciate you trying to excite me about this. The car was cool in part 1. The car was it fucking yellow in part 2, or was that part 1 as well?
And it made the best use of "I'm in love with my car" ever.
So. Yes, I mean, he was living in the car. He couldn't until he got his apartment back. My point being is that you can't judge a book and a TV series equally, because stuff is stripped for screen time. Stuff is stripped, normally exposition, and yes, you do lose a lot of nuance. And if this is a 3-part trilogy, then one cannot judge it at all against the book until that 3rd part is out and that entire story is told. Unfortunately, this being a particularly weak, from my perspective, season 2 means that season 3 has a lot to catch up on should it happen. We know both actors very, very busy. David Tennant's just finished off his run on Doctor Who. He's got other stuff coming up. I mean, unless they are going into Good Omens season 3 next year to get it out in 18 months' time, I can't see there being much of an interest the 3rd time round. I mean, it's not for me anyway. If I'm still here, maybe I'll watch it, just because I think the 2 main actors are absolutely superb, and they do, as always,
they make magic moments.
Yeah, they, when they're on screen together, they bounce off each other. They know each other well. As anybody who's watched the web series Staged that came out during the pandemic, that's on Hulu and BritBox. It's pretty perfect. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens in 2025 or 2026. If I'm still here, It'll be very interesting. I just hope they up their game. I hope Crowley and Aziraphale go out with a bang, as opposed to
You
the
want
whimper.
them to go out banging?
With a bang.
Okay.
They can bang each other. They can have an angel menage a trois with whoever. Yeah, I just like to see it amped up a little.
Fair enough. I think that is a wrap for that. I do want to ask you one question that's not related to this at all, but it appears that Chelsea has bought Caicedo, Olise, and Lavia all this week.
Yeah.
This is an amazing amount of spending that they're using creative accounting by giving these guys like 7-8 year contracts to amortize the fees over a longer period of time. But that reckless? Do they have too many players again? It just seems. How are they doing this?
They have a strong squad. They have a very good manager who's never won anything.
He's won French titles.
I could turn up a Paris Saint-Germain and say, all right, give me a year. Boom, this is what we'll do. Go out and play. And that's it. I could have won. I probably would have got further in the Champions League too.
You just have to go. So you guys score more than they do.
Yeah, score. You play here. Give the ball to him. Give it to him. Put it in the net. No, I think Chelsea's hubris is going to come back and bite them on the ass. They've already been announced that they're being investigated for fiscal irregularities during the Abramovich era. And I think that Bowley and co. are about to find out that this isn't baseball. You fuck around and you find out on a biblical basis. They cannot have all these players. They're stockpiling a bunch of them. The fact that you've got Mikhailo Mudryk, who is an incredible Ukrainian winger,
coming off the bench.
Coming off the fucking bench. And everybody wants, I want a team like them. Where I've got these great players coming off the bench and keep everybody fresh.
But they don't have champions. Do they? Are they in?
They don't. They're not even in Europe, period. They finished 12th last
12th,
season.
That's right. Yeah.
And I project they will finish 13th this year. I kid. No, they'll do better this year because they've got, like I said, they've got a good manager and they've got a very good squad. I'm not sure if a lot of those players are there for the right reasons. Moses Caicedo.
Right.
Seems like a bit of a money-grabbing bastard to me. Why would you go to a team like Chelsea who have nothing to offer, haven't won anything in the last couple of years, and turn away a team like Liverpool who are going for, a secondary European pot, but winning that guarantees Champions League next year.
Or even staying at Brighton, who had a great season last year.
Well, I think he was always going to go. I think he's one of these people now. His head will be turned again by one of the Madrids in about 18 months, or Barca, and then he'll be angling for a move again. I think he's been pretty miserably informed by his agent. But if that's where he wants to go, I'd love to know how Chelsea can justify these fees and these salaries, having not won anything in the best part of 7 or 8 years. It's going to be an interesting season. I wouldn't be surprised if Chelsea are going to be in a lot of trouble. I think if Liverpool had a defensive midfielder, we'd have won 3-0 quite easily.
I have to address this. Yes, I am all the way down, just like your sister, Carlos. Thank you.
Well, there you go.
Had to be done.
So classy. I don't know what you think, but it's not good. It's not good for them to have these players, and they've shipped out a bunch of players,
but not enough. It's still
for fees, but yeah,
it will be interesting, and I will watch with the popcorn. So next week we're going to be talking about Blue Beetle, the latest DC EU movie.
one of the last. That, and then you got Aquaman and the Fish Sticks of Doom at some point. But yeah, this will be the last but one of the DC Extended Universe. And ironically, this is the one that they've said, even though it sees the end of the DC Extended Universe, this character will appear in the new DC Cinematic Universe.
Aha.
So he's basically swinging both ways.
Do you have any expectations for this one? They've not been having a great year. What did they have first? Shazam 2 was not well received. Flash 2 was not well received.
Shazam 2 was really mediocre. It had none of the joy of the original. The Flash was pretty much abysmal, with the sole exception of Michael Keaton. He made that movie better and is ruined by that final reel. Just total bollocks across the board. And some very iffy CGI. So this one, I'm going in with a clear mind. I think it's great that there's a Latino superhero.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I'm excited to see George Lopez in it. And that's more because of the fact that I can't stand George Lopez. Not because he's Latino, but because he's unfunny. He is not fucking funny. So yes, I think it'll be entertaining. I don't think it's going to do super well, but I think that's because Barbenheimer is still ticking along. It may take some points off the Meg. It may take some points off Turtles. Maybe come in at third. I don't think the budget on this was super huge anyway, but it's, much like female superheroes, and we should be looking at a Batgirl movie right now.
I wish. Fuck you, Zaslav.
With a Batarang. Yeah. So that's what we're going to see on Thursday. Let's see how it goes. I'm hoping to be entertained. I hope they haven't given away all the good stuff in the trailer.
Do you like that dude from Cobra Kai, Jolo Macarena, whatever his last
name? I don't fucking watch Cobra Kai.
Oh, I love Cobra Kai.
The wife does. It peaked with Karate Kid 2 for me.
Fair enough.
Yeah. You can't really go beyond anything when you're talking about a movie that has Peter Cetera's Glory of Love as its love theme.
Absolutely.
So yeah, my wife has been watching Cobra Kai. She loved it, but it just got so old so quickly.
Understandable. But Blue Beetle is what we have in store for you next week. If you like the stuff we're doing, please like and subscribe. All our socials are up there. Thank you guys so much for watching. And now is the time where Marcus will say goodbye to you.
Goodbye to you. Goodbye to you. And you, and you, and you. So long, farewell. I'll be the Zane. Adieu, adieu, adieu. To you, and you, and you.